I love the end of a year because it illustrates a universal law of self-improvement or self-deconstruction. Okay, so there's this thing we call time, right? It's this construct that was created for us, and we've all basically agreed to just live within its rules. We have seconds, minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, years. And we understand this with time. We understand that little things, seconds and minutes, times time, equal big changes, decades, centuries. Okay, but there's a part of this that we seem to not understand, or we act as if we don't understand it. It's how this equation, little things times time equal big changes, how that applies to things like this, and this, and this, and this, and this. And we seem to forget that one more rep, one more late night at work instead of being at home with our kids, one more drink, one more page, one more minute on TikTok is slowly but surely creating big change in our lives. And you may not see it in a day or a week or even a month, but the change is happening slowly and steadily, choice by choice. All these little choices being compounded by the powerful effect of time. Okay, but this video is more than just a reminder. It is that as well, and we'll talk about that at the very end, which is one of the most important parts of this whole process. But it's also an invitation to all of us to say, how do we do this well? How do we live our lives in such a way so that our efforts are multiplied for our future selves, for our future relationships? And we love cliche quotes about how easy this process is. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step, right? I mean, how hard is it to take one step? It's almost as easy to take a step up as it is to take a step down. But here's the thing, you have to know where that step is taking you. And once you know where you are going, then one step is easy. There's an exercise I'd like to share with you that has helped me know what steps to take today, tomorrow, and the next day, and what steps are taking me in the wrong direction. If possible, I go somewhere quiet. After all, this isn't a good time to be distracted. I like to write down the equation, little things times time equal big changes. And below, a list of what I do on a regular basis. I start with the obvious, like my routine, and work out from there. Questions are helpful as well, like what do you do before and after eating supper? Or what do you do right before going to bed and right after waking up? Most of the little steps that we take in the right direction or the wrong direction are hidden in the mundane. They're hidden in the things that we do without thinking. There's the sun. Just barely popping over the hill. Wow, it's beautiful. So after I have my list, the process is pretty easy, right? So I usually go through my list and just analyze and say, hey, where could this thing take me? What's the best and worst case scenario of me continuing to do this action? And if I like it, then I'll keep it. And if I don't like it, then it's something I try to slowly remove from my life. And that could be anything. It could be an action, it could be an attitude, it could be behavior, it could be a lifestyle, it could be anything. But that elimination process is really, really important. We oftentimes try to add things too fast to our lives, and it's really hard to remove things. But it's worth it. The removal process is really, really important. Without this, we won't have the space to add to our lives. And since we're usually trying to add things to our lives, the one thing I would say is don't rush the elimination process. Honestly, if you give yourself time to think and you're not distracting yourself, usually you'll know what needs to be slowly cut out of your life. Now, let's take a look at what should we add to our lives. And for me, I have no idea what's important to you. I don't know what your values are, so I can't really just give you a list. right? Like there's some things that are just universally good, right? Taking care of our minds, taking care of our bodies, relationships, reading, things like that. But that's why I wanted to show you and the process and kind of bring you along as I do this for myself, because then you can know what you need to remove and what you need to add based on your value system, not mine. What I will say is that most people make two mistakes. They usually start too fast with too many things. So start slow and only add the things that will have the most contribution. And that's what this whole process is about. It's about distinguishing the vital few from the trivial many. All of this comes down to choices. It's a choice to do these small actions. In fact, that's all a choice is. It's not a thing, it's something that you do. And the fastest way to go backwards and to deconstruct your life is to forget this equation and to forget that you have a choice. Because your ability to choose is something that can never be taken away from you. It can never be given up. It can only be forgotten. So don't forget your ability to choose. Write this equation on your hand, set reminders on your phone, do whatever it takes. Because if you don't choose, someone else will choose for you. And if you don't know how to do this, or you don't even know what it means to always have the ability to choose, there's a book called A Man's Search for Meaning. It will explain to you how this is possible and how incredibly powerful it is in the worst scenarios that humans have ever faced.